Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I hope all is well. You know, all you see on the media now is a bunch of bitching and complaining, right? Everybody's complaining about everything is too expensive. They can't find a job. They can't do this. They can't do that. So when it comes to money, the most money you're going to make as a Gen Z person is make it when you're asleep, meaning internet money. Internet money is the most money you're going to make right now because they're trying to seize all jobs and replace everybody with AI. So we call Gen Z the jobless generation. Shout out to the Economy Media. I'll post the original link in the video in the description. Let's go.
The difficulties faced by Generation Z in securing stable employment stem from a mix of economic, business, and political factors. One of the most visible is the paradox of entry-level jobs. Although presented as opportunities for recent graduates, most require prior experience. According to LinkedIn data, more than 40% of vacancies labeled as entry-level in 2025 require at least 2 years of experience.
And keep in mind, LinkedIn is a career killer. So if you are employed in a decent position, do not put your information on LinkedIn. That could kill your future career, opportunities.
While 22% demand 3 years or more. This requirement contradicts the purpose of such positions and places young people in a vicious circle. They cannot get a job because they lack experience, and they cannot gain experience because they cannot get a job. According to the National Association of Colleges and Employers, nearly 55% of senior students in 2024 anticipated major difficulties in making a quick transition into the labor market due to these growing demands.
But what I don't understand is no matter how bad the job market gets, college enrollment is not dropping as much as you think it is. People are still relying on college degrees to get these jobs, but they're not understanding that it's not what you know, it's who you know too. Especially if you're going for jobs that are non-union. So you're really in competition because people get away with getting their friends in, getting their family in when you were well qualified. But the non-union jobs are easier to do this in. There's a lot of bootlicking, and a lot of people don't want to kiss ass to get the jobs that they yearn for.
But the arrival of AI has made this much worse in the tech sector.
Companies are eliminating formative entry-level jobs, the work handed over to artificial intelligence. Tech companies are leading the way.
In addition, starting salaries have not kept pace with the cost of living. The average starting salary for a recent graduate in 2025 is around $59,000.
Which is poverty, by the way. So if you're making this in California, especially in affluent communities, you're in poverty. To live decently, you need to make at least between 80 to 100K a year. And that's barely middle class.
Only about 2% higher than the previous year, which is far below the cumulative rise in basic housing, transportation, and food expenses. According to recent surveys, more than 68% of Generation Z youth believe they will not achieve financial independence until after age 28 or 30, largely due to this economic pressure.
I'll bump that up to age 40 and up, the way it's going now. Because see, what happens is these job fairs waste of time. I was attending job fairs back in 2006 and they weren't really about anything. They were still looking for people with experience. And it's like the only thing that you're going to get out of a job fair other than the military and the police departments there and other first responder jobs, those are the only careers that you're going to get. Those other corporations that come to the job fair, you're not getting those jobs.
Companies, for their part, show a clear tendency to retain current employees instead of expanding their workforces. In times of uncertainty, the priority is stability. A 2025 Gartner survey revealed that 70% of companies have chosen to freeze or slow down new hiring, focusing on retaining those already on staff. Much of this caution is related to doubts about tariff policy.
Trade war is officially on with the retaliation by China.
All of that back and forth over trade and tariffs hasn't exactly been great for the economy.
The Trump administration reintroduced tariffs on imports from China and has threatened to impose new ones on European goods, generating fears of rising costs that could hurt profitability. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce points out that especially for small and medium-sized businesses, hiring is avoided until the effects of these changes on supply supply chains are clear. Inflation is another factor complicating the outlook. After reaching 9.1% in 2022, the highest in 4 decades, it has dropped to 3.2% in 2025, but the cumulative effects are still felt. The rise in costs also has led many companies to cut budgets and slow hiring.
And then following that, the interest rate hikes. That probably also slowed overall economic conditions with impacts on hiring appetite.
According to the Conference Board, only 29% of employers plan to increase hiring of recent graduates in 2025, compared with 41% in 2021. The result is a reduction in opportunities precisely in the segment where recent graduates most need to gain access. The impact of these trends is not limited to the present, but has long-term repercussions.
And see, here's the problem. Look at what's in his hands. You see that nice cup of Joe that's in his hands? So even though you're making $60,000 a year, you're still going to have all these tattoos with a $10 cup of coffee. And it might not even be $10. I'll say $5. Okay. But you see where I'm getting at. So now you're a rarity if you're 30 years old and you live by yourself in a decent 1-bedroom apartment. That's a rarity because the average person doesn't make 3 times their rent.
The Federal Reserve has warned of the risk of economic scarring, meaning the lasting negative effect suffered by those entering the labor market during crises. During the 2008 recession, graduates entering the market saw their earnings reduced by as much as 9% for more than a decade. Today, a similar phenomenon threatens to repeat itself. According to the Pew Research Center, nearly half of Generation Z workers believe they will not be able to retire at a traditional age due to their late entry into stable jobs.
With high inflation and a suddenly shaky banking system, some Americans are cashing out their retirement funds.
The unemployment rate in the 20 to...
And the ones that are cashing out their retirement funds, they probably started a business online. Maybe they're doing some kind of, traveling. They're nomads. They're digital nomads. And they're moving overseas to Asian countries to get the same $4,000 a month apartment that they could get in Thailand for $800. It makes sense, right? So why stress and struggle in a somewhat first world country when you could go to a real third world country in a more affluent part of that country and live 10 times better and 10 times less stressed? And it's mostly young single adults that are doing this.
24 age group stands at 8.6%, compared with 4.3% for the overall workforce, clearly reflecting the disadvantage. The combination of inflation, excessive experience requirements, and hiring freezes creates an adverse scenario for those just starting their careers. The number of vacancies decreases, entry filters rise, and the cost of living remains high. The National Student Clearinghouse reports that in 2025, college enrollment fell nearly 5% compared with 2020.
You see that? You think it'll be a lot lower. A lot higher than that. That 5% should be like 30%. And mind you, college enrollment goes up in expenses just like the cost of living does. So the college expenses used to be a lot cheaper 15 years ago compared to what it is today. Everything goes up every single year. Everything goes up but the paychecks.
Partly because students increasingly question whether a degree guarantees a job.
I was told by a lot of people that I was going to get a job right out of college.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Our parents, it was a belief system that the boomers relied off of to tell their children. The boomers were telling us that shit back when we were growing up. That, you'll be nothing if you don't go to school. But then they never really specified what to go to school for. I'm thinking, okay, do we have to be a doctor? Do we have to be a lawyer? Like, what kind of degree? Like, what pays the most money for me to make college worth it? But see, they're telling you not to go to school for money. So it's not really making sense. But due to the rise of the internet and social media, people are making more money than ever now. The only downfall is that will never replace an actual career because you're going to have to find out what to invest in yourself and you're going to have to save your own money as far as investments and retirements. You have no medical benefits, so that's another thing.
And then all of a sudden, there's no jobs.
A recent survey revealed that more than 60% of recent graduates consider themselves underemployed, working in positions that do not require a college degree. Added to this is the burden of student debt, averaging $33,000 per borrower, while the resumption of payments in 2023 has increased the urgency of finding stable income. However, that income remains elusive.
So think of that. Student loan debt, which is higher than that. We all know it's closer to $100,000. Plus you have credit card debt. Plus you might have bought a car. So these people aren't buying no homes. For what? They don't have any children, yet they don't even want to get married. So they're going to be in debt for a long time, let alone they're going to live with their parents until they're in their 40s and up.
All this also affects young people's mental health and motivation. Gallup surveys in 2025 show that only 29% of Generation Z workers feel engaged in their jobs, while 46% say they are unmotivated or pessimistic about their professional future.
Whoa.
Anxiety about job security is evident. More than 60% believe they will have to string together multiple temporary or gig economy jobs before accessing a stable position.
For the last 3 years, millions of Americans have changed their work life. For many, that meant a remote or hybrid job, and for some, it meant throwing out the 9-to-5 altogether.
In addition, competition for available positions is increasingly intense. Companies receive a significantly higher volume of applications than a decade ago, meaning that even qualified candidates face long waits and strict selection processes.
And due to the fact that most job applications are online now on a portal, even AI has hands into that. But this is no news. Even before AI was a hot topic, this was the way of screening candidates for job opportunities. People aren't, do you really think HR is going one by one to look at each job application each? No, it's an AI algorithm. They scan keywords that are in the applications that you put, whether they want to go further with you to get you interviews or not. That's what's going on. So it's not a person that's rejecting you and sending those emails. That's all automated. It's called automation. So you have automation and then you have AI. So if you get through it and crack the system, crack the code, good for you. If not, better luck next time.
A 2025 Glassdoor study indicates that the average time to receive a response after applying for an entry-level job is 45 days.
A lot could happen in 45 days. That's almost, you might as well say that's 2 months, even though really it's a month and a half. But you have to get the ball rolling like early. So that's longer than ever. It used to be 2 weeks. How the hell did we get to 45 days? Yeah, that's a problem.
Compared to 21 days in 2015. This delay not only generates frustration among young people, but also increases psychological pressure, forcing them to apply to multiple positions simultaneously and often accept temporary or low-paying jobs while waiting for a stable opportunity.
It's literally just rejection, rejection, rejection. And it's always like the automated messages. I've only gotten like one where it's like, oh, you can do like a video interview, but that's like the first stage out of like 7 others. So no luck.
At the same time, internship opportunities, once the bridge to experience, have decreased by 12.
Okay, so it goes like this. If you have a job, a decent paying job, and you're fully benefited, you better keep it. Due to the fact that a lot of people are losing their jobs to AI, budget cuts, such and such. Whatever you have, if it's decent, you better keep it. That's how that goes, because see, the job hopping is going down. So not as many people are job hopping as before, because they know that if they take another job with another company, it's probably going to get eliminated. Like there's no safety or no guarantee of any of these job positions. At this point, everybody's job is in jeopardy right now, because there's a bunch of people sitting at those long, large, big white tables in suits, coffee, pastries, discussing who they're going to dismiss next. They determine whether your job position is useless or not. So just because you have a coworker that's retiring, do not expect yourself to get that position when they're gone, because most likely what they're going to do is they're going to split that position and throw that work onto somebody else, or they're just going to eliminate the position, period. That's what's going to happen. It's really sad though, but what can we do? Put everybody on universal income? Yes, no, maybe so. We'll see. This is Kai LaVale. I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye.